Hello, fifth graders. This is Miss Smith with a lesson on melodic contour, using steps and skips to create a melody. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify and show the difference between steps and skips on the music staff by completing a worksheet. You will also help compose a melody using Songmaker in the Chrome Music Lab with your classmates that uses both steps and skips. Take a look at the picture in the green box on this slide. You should be familiar with these lines and spaces we read and write music on. Do you remember what we call these lines? The music staff is where we read and write music. You will typically see a clef, time signature, and sometimes a key signature at the beginning of written music. Take a look at the picture on the slide. Do any of these symbols not look familiar to you? Be sure to let us know so that we can help you.
You can stop me at this time and let me know if you need any explanation of any of the terms or the figures here on this slide.
When composing music, the notes that you use in your melody can move in 3 different directions. Notes can move up, notes can move down, or notes can repeat, which just means they stay the same. In addition to the direction notes can move in 2 different motions, step or skip. Let's take a look at music moving in stepwise motion. This is shown in the picture on this slide. A step does just as the name says. It steps up or down to the next space on the music staff. Think of this as the note moving to its next door neighbor, either above it or below it. Now let's take a look at music moving by skip. Take a look at the picture. Notice that between each note, a spot on the staff, in this case a space, was skipped over. When we skip spots on the staff, we have a note that moves by skip. Think about the example I used in the last slide. I'd said that notes that move by step are moving to its next door neighbor. Think of your neighborhood. Do you or somebody else in your house have a friend that lives up or down the street from you? They live near you, but not next door to you. That's how you could take a look at notes that move by skip. They are near the other note, but just not next to it on the music staff. Now for a quick learning checkpoint. Take a look at the music below. Let's figure out if the notes are moving by step or skip.
How about this first one? The second one? The third one? Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Great job. Watch the video as Miss Smith guides you through the importance of using steps and skips in a meaningful way to create interesting and creative melodies. Following these tips will help you become a successful composer.
Hi, fifth graders. This is Miss Smith to show you the importance of using steps and skips in a meaningful way to create really interesting melodies using Songmaker in the Chrome Music Lab. So you want to think of the Crow Music Lab like your music staff. All of these boxes are like a line or a space of the music staff. When we are composing melodies, it's really important to use a mix of steps and skips and not just one over the other. And I'm going to show you why. So if I were just going to create a melody using skips, it would look something like this. So I'm going to start there. And if I was just going to skip around, notice how I'm skipping boxes, right? I'm not going to the next box up or the next box down. Remember the next door neighbor example I gave you in the previous slides? So if I'm moving by skip, I can decide to skip up or down, but notice how it's not the same notes. So these are all skips. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. So you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that looks really neat. And that was kind of cool. I want you to think about having somebody perform this melody that you just created. Do you think it would be easy for somebody to repeat that back to you? I know as a singer myself, if I looked at a piece of music and this is what I had to read, I'd be a little frustrated because this is quite difficult to remember and it doesn't really have a real tune or melody to it. Remember, melody is the tune of the song. It's what you're humming in your head. So when we've got the melody to Mary Had a Little Lamb, we're thinking, that's the melody. It's something that you can sing along to. This is quite difficult to sing along to. So this is an example of if you're using just skips, while it's neat, it's not necessarily the most singable or memorable melody. On the flip side, let's talk about what would happen if we just have steps. We're just stepping up and down. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. Again, not bad, but if you noticed, I wasn't able to use a range of notes. The range of notes that I was using was fairly small, and I kind of didn't have the freedom to move around very easily. And that's the downside to only using steps. While this, you can sing it, and it is a little bit easier to remember how it goes, it's not as interesting. So in order to create creative and interesting melodies, you're going to want to use a mix of steps, skips, and even repeats. You're definitely allowed to repeat some notes. So this would be how an example of how I would use a mixture of those three motions to create a really interesting melody. I'm going to start with some steps to get us going, but then I'm going to skip. I'm actually going to go here. And I'm going to skip again. Couple of steps. So notice how I'm using a mix of steps, skips, and repeats. I started with steps, and then I had some skipping motion here, followed by some stepping motion, skipping, stepping, repeats, and then I had a skip, and then by step. So if you notice, I'm using those skips very wisely in my melody. Let's take a look at what it sounds like. Now that sounds like a more interesting melody than the ones that I created before. So this is exactly the type of way you should be composing your songs so that they are an absolute hit.
All right, way to go, Miss Smith. She just taught us how to create interesting melodies with using steps, skips, and staying the same. So now we're going to take a look at our final work for today. And here's Miss Smith back to explain what you're going to do.
For your assignment this week, you are going to be completing a worksheet using Kami. When you're filling out your worksheet and when you're asked to draw examples of steps and skips, you can use either the Shapes tool or draw the circles yourself. Either way, be sure to click Turn In when you are finished.
All right, and I will be here for the rest of this class period to answer any questions you have or to help you in any way. So at this time, you should be in the Google Classroom using Kami to complete your worksheet. This time is given to you to complete your work. So make sure that you're doing your work during class right now. And if you need any help, I'm here to help you. All right. Go team!